Good afternoon. Welcome to the premiere of Studio One on this Thursday, February 5th. We're looking forward to joining you every Thursday afternoon live at 4 with the same show repeated at 6 p.m. I'm Tom Beering. I'll be your host as we explore together the depth, the value, the beauty of people, their accomplishments, their ideas, their failures, their perspectives. Essentially a look at ourselves. Joining us today is a man who was left to die in a Turkish prison, enduring the agonies as a foreign hostage before escaping. His experiences were made popular through the book and the film Midnight Express, but that's only where the story begins. Billy Hayes will be joining us today. From the world of captivity to the world of comedy, Scott Hansen will humor us, I'm sure, as we view comedy through his eyes as both a comedian and a club manager. But first, with every edition of Studio One, to the news desk with Lynn Shocker and Courtney Bateman. Lynn?
Thank you, Tom. A Nobel Peace Prize may be the reward for the efforts of Terry Waite. 5 British lawmakers say they have nominated the missing negotiator for the prize. However, the Church of England is still waiting for official word concerning Waite's whereabouts. However, reliable citizens report they have seen Waite in good spirits, although escorted by gunmen. This contradicts a West German report that Waite was shot by kidnappers.
PCB or not PCB? That is a question facing the North Dakota State Health Department after 3 days of formal testimony and debate in hearings held at the Grand Forks Civic Auditorium. The focus of the hearings is a project proposed by Union Carbide and the Energy Research Center on the UND campus to burn a 55-gallon drum containing PCBs to aid in finding new ways of destroying the toxic chemical. Opponents say that this type of burning has never been done and that no insurance has been obtained in case of an accident. Advocates of the project cite the valuable information to be gained from such research and the inherent safety of the procedure.
While the United States is celebrating the 200th birthday of its Constitution, the Philippines have just approved a new one. The new charter will strengthen the role of President Corazon Aquino, and she says it will help stabilize her government. Despite the overwhelming voter approval of the new charter, communist rebels say they will continue fighting and are uncertain if they will return to peace talks that have been stalled since January 22nd.
If winning is everything, the University of North Dakota has everything for sports fans these days. The hockey team continues its hold on the top spot in the nation. The wrestling team is ranked 5th in the nation in Division II, and in hoops, the Sioux are second only to St. Cloud State in the North Central Conference. All 3 teams are active this weekend. The hockey team, just 2 wins in the next 6 games to clinch the WCHA title, will be skating at home in a series with Duluth. The wrestlers are hosting South Dakota State on Friday, and the basketball team will be on the road playing Morningside and South Dakota. Tom?
Go Sioux. Thanks, Courtney, Lynn. Stay with us. After this break, Pam Coonan will give us a look at the weather. That and a whole lot more right here on Studio One.
Studio One is sponsored by JCPenney, located in Columbia Mall. Smarter than ever, JCPenney.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
I like working with people.
I really like working with people.
I really like people.
I'm a people person.
I'm eager.
I'm eager.
Eager. I think I'm eager.
And I was president of 5.
Offer an employer something meaningful, practical work experience. A nationwide college program called Co-op Education can give you that competitive edge.
And I'd even relocate.
Right, Co-op Education. It's the experience you need for the job you want.
Welcome back. Still ahead, author, actor Billy Hayes and comedian club manager Scott Hansen. But first, let's hear about the weather from Pam Coonan. Pam?
Thank you, Tom. Currently in Grand Forks, we have a temperature of 36 degrees, and our relative humidity is 90%. Our winds are southerly at 10 miles per hour. Now going to our surface map. Today, high pressure dominates the region. Fog has been widespread in South Dakota and northern Minnesota. This was due to cooling of a moist air mass in that region. A low pressure is centered over central Saskatchewan. A warm front extends southward from that low into North Dakota. This has caused an increase in cloudiness in our region. The front should pass over our area at 4:30 this afternoon, and our winds will then become west-northwesterly. We won't expect a temperature change with this front because it is a weak one. I'll be back later in the program with our forecast. Tom?
Well, thanks, Pam. He spent 5 years in a Turkish prison held hostage before escaping, but that's only half the story. His experience have worked to his advantage, shaping him into a very promising actor. Meet him next on Studio One.
Hello, and welcome to our special guest, handsomely dressed in a raincoat, a fellow who truly leads a dog's life. Meet McGruff, the crime dog.
Thanks, Dick. It may be a dog's life, but I'm helping people take a bite out of crime.
Indeed you are. Now, do I understand that neighborhood watch programs have reduced crime in some areas as much as 50%?
That's right, but there's more to be done.
Well, tell me about it, which I'm sure he will.
You bet. Make sure your neighborhood has plenty of lights. Leave one on in your house at night, and remember, light a light to stop a thief.
Shady characters prefer the dark, eh?
You got it. Also, start a volunteer escort service for older folks.
Aha, good news for the old folks at home, eh? What about the young folks?
Start McGruff houses.
Which are?
Houses kids can duck into in case of trouble.
Terrific. Anything else?
Yeah, that's a nice jacket, Dick.
Oh, thanks, McGruff. Hey, and thanks for all you're doing. For more information, write to this address and help
take a bite out of crime.
Billy Hayes is essentially known for his experiences captured in the film Midnight Express, which was a 1979 Academy Award nominee. Attempting to smuggle hash out of Turkey, he was imprisoned to a 5-year sentence. 53 days before his release date, an unstable Turkish system of justice sentenced him to another 30 years. After several unsuccessful attempts, he finally succeeded in escaping from an island prison. Those days have since fueled a blossoming career in acting for Billy Hayes. He just completed an off-Broadway play in L.A., which received rave reviews. 2 weeks ago, he was seen in NBC's Stingray, and he currently can be seen in Assassination, the new Charles Bronson movie. Billy Hayes, it is a pleasure having you here.
Nice being here.
Now tell me, all that time in a Turkish prison, I would assume as an actor, you've got to pull from all kinds of resources of experiences and emotions. What better way to do that?
Exactly. An actor draws upon his emotions, and obviously it was a very intense emotional time. In fact, the entire Midnight Express experience has turned into a silver lining for me now because I use it constantly in my work. You mentioned the Stingray thing the other night. The character had been arrested and held in prison in Russia for 13 years. Now he's back seeking revenge. I mean, I had a lot of emotional stuff to put into the role.
Did you ever think on a lonely night in a prison in Turkey that you'd be able to use this to this type of an advantage?
Never crossed my mind. It's all I thought about was getting out, escaping. And then once I came out, suddenly this avalanche of publicity came down upon me. And it was okay. I mean, I was free, but it was rather disconcerting. I thought I'd come back into a nice, quiet existence again and stepped off the airplane, and there were 100 reporters at the airport, you know, lights, cameras, action. And that went on for the next 3 years. And I wrote a book, and then they made the film out of it, which was the last thing I could have imagined in making a movie. And all the publicity was nice, but it didn't feel right on me because I wasn't happy with who I was. I wasn't proud of the fact that I'd been arrested and become this little mini celebrity for having smuggled hash and having had my parents suffer for 5 years while I was in jail. I needed to separate from Billy Hayes' Midnight Express. I needed to create William Hayes, which is what I do all my acting under, because I needed to be respected and recognized as an actor for something that I chose. And I can kind of combine both of them now. I can put my prison experience into my acting, and it's like therapy for me.
Mm-hmm. Billy, for those that have seen the movie, how accurate is it to what really occurred?
I like to say that the film is emotionally very accurate. Factually, they made some real distinct changes in the story. The ending is a totally different ending.
And how was the ending?
Well, in the film, they have me, Brad, sort of skipping out the door, which I wish it had been that easy. In reality, it was much more complicated. I think much more interesting. I actually escaped off an island in an island prison in a rowboat in a storm and spent the night rowing to the mainland and then running and hiding and dyeing my hair black and spending the next 2 days running and hiding through Turkey and eventually swimming a river and crossing into Greece. But the filmmakers weren't interested in making an escape film. They wanted to make a film about prison and hope and fear and such. So I can appreciate their point of view in changing it. I'm very happy with what they did with the movie. I have some very strong objections. The main one is the fact that there's an attitude towards the Turkish people in general that comes across in the film Midnight Express that was not in my book or in my experience, where all you see are bad Turks in the movie, and it creates an overall impression that I think is very unfair to the Turkish people as a nation. I don't want to take away from what the film says about the Turkish prison conditions or the legal system, which is brutal and hypocritical. But the people shouldn't take the bad rap that the film gives them.
Now, if I remember, at the end of one of the credits on the end of the film recognized the fact that this movie was instrumental in bringing together the Turkish and the American government for the exchange of prisoners. Is that right?
Yes, actually, my lawyers, when my sentence was changed to 30 years, my lawyers began to work on this prisoner exchange treaty, which, as you say, was mentioned at the end of the film and has been enacted. In fact, the United States government now has an exchange treaty with about 11 different nations whereby Americans arrested overseas can come back and serve the remainder of their sentence here in the United States.
Billy, every single day for you must be a gift, huh, after your escape?
Yes, perspective is everything. I didn't appreciate what I had until I lost it. The American system of justice, life here. I was a protester in the 60s, rightfully so, but I didn't appreciate what was good about the United States. All I did was protest what was bad. You have to appreciate what you have, and it took, for me, I had to lose it before I could appreciate it. And if I get down or depressed or I don't get a certain role in a film, I just have to think back and say, wait a second. You know, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I was eating beans locked up, and now I'm upset because I didn't get a part in a movie. It kind of puts a nice perspective on my life.
I'm sure you wouldn't wish that kind of an experience on anybody, but should an American get out of this country to see what they have?
I think everyone should get out and explore the world and see what's out there. It's good for you. My message is do what you like and know what you're doing. And knowing what you're doing means being aware of the consequences of your actions. I mean, it's a big world out there, and you can step in a very deep hole. In this case, learn by experience. Better someone else's than your own. You know, don't be stupid.
Now, your acting career, we had just gotten some information that you had just accomplished an off-Broadway play that received rave reviews in L.A.
Yeah, we did a play called Creeps, which was about people with cerebral palsy, which was really a wonderful play. Fascinating for me because it opened up this whole world of people with CP that I never really knew about before. So it was a good learning experience as an actor. And I just finished a Charlie Bronson film, which the only distinction in it for me is that I get shot and killed by Bronson, which I guess is a pretty interesting distinction.
An honor.
I'm real happy with acting. Again, it's the most economically and emotionally insecure profession imaginable. But I love doing it, and I don't know what else I'd do with my life. I want to affect people, and acting is a way for me to do it.
What can we expect to see from you?
I don't want to say, but there's a couple of films right now that I'm waiting on. I'm hoping to do a film off the coast of Africa in the next coming months. Some Americans who get captured by terrorists and held in this little room. Very intense movie. And I'm waiting to see what happens with that at this point. And a lot more TV, I hope.
Any regrets?
No, I'm not into regrets. Regrets don't. I mean, if I could do it over, all that kind of stuff, I would change things, obviously. But, you know, we create our own reality. And obviously there was a reason for me getting myself arrested because there were things I had to learn out of it. And hopefully I've learned all those lessons that I need to because I don't want to go back and do any more of it. I'm trying to learn. I try and take all my chances right now in my acting, in my work. I don't need to get out and visit foreign countries and exotic places anymore.
Billy Hayes, thanks for joining us.
Thanks
we really
for having
appreciate
me.
the time. Billy Hayes from Midnight Express. We'd like to thank the University Program Council. Billy will be speaking and fielding questions, I assume, tonight at 7 here on campus at the Memorial Union Ballroom. Studio One continues after this message.
There was this guy, a nationally known sports hero. And then I got busted. As a result of my lust for cocaine,
I was totally out of control, and I didn't even realize it. That's what's crazy about cocaine. I had a beautiful family, a big house in the suburbs, everything I wanted. Then I got into cocaine, and I almost lost it all.
I was crazy from cocaine. I couldn't live without it. That wasn't me. It was somebody else.
It's a lie that cocaine's not addictive. I didn't choose to be an addict. Quitting cocaine was...
One night, my heart freaked out. I thought I was going to die. I risked my health, jail, and the people who love me.
Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about because you're taking the exact same ride.
Anyone tells you cocaine's not addictive, they lie.
Cocaine
the big lie. Call 1-800-662-HELP.
New Groove's Meg Griffin introduces us to this video, currently number 12 in the MTV Top 20 Video Countdown, from the sight and sound of Howard Jones.
Combined to make Howard Jones an international hit. For his third album, 1 to 1, the singer-songwriter teamed up with producer Arif Mardin, best known for his work with Scritti Politti and Shaka Khan. The first hit track from the LP is called You Know I Love You, Don't You?
You got the socket and I got the plug. I am the thorn and you are the rug. I got the rhythm and you got the beat. We feel it shake us from our souls to our feet. And you know I love you. You know I love you. You got the metal and I got the die. We make a structure that no one can deny. I need you and you need me. I need your honey like a flower needs a bee. And you know I love you. You know I love you. No one is an island, all that you can defend. A person on his own is a sinking ship. It will be that way till the time will end. Not to worry when the things get tough. We'll stick together through the smooth and the rough. You're the steam engine and I am the tracks. Roll over me, I'll be going right back. 'Cause you know I love you. You know I love you.
Leaving the radio and record charts last week, topping at 13, Howard Jones and You Know I Love You, Don't You? This week's top single on the same charts, Bruce Hornsby and The Range with The Way It Is. On this date, on February 5th, 1783, Sweden recognized the independence of the United States. And in 1881, on this same date, Phoenix, Arizona was incorporated. And 53 years ago, in 1937, Franklin D. Roosevelt proposed the appointment of up to 6 additional justices to the U.S. Supreme Court, causing a storm of controversy, charging Roosevelt with attempting to pack the court. What would they think of us today? If there's ever been a man with his hands full of humor, it must be comedian, club manager, radio host, and talent agent Scott Hansen. He'll be joining us next on Studio One.
How does this man consistently draw 2,000 students a year to New York's most talked about film class? How does he attract the finest creative talent in the film world? Guests like Woody Allen, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, Dustin Hoffman, Deborah Winger, William Hurt, Steven Spielberg, Robin Williams, Robert Redford, Shirley MacLaine, just to name a few? Why do his students describe him as brilliant, charismatic, and his class provocative, inspiring, exhilarating? Find out for yourself. Richard Brown's Screening Room, a whole new way to look at movies. Watch it on NCTV.
Oh, those fabulous 50s. Crazy, crazy kids. Hula hoops. And yes, the golden years of television. Jack Benny.
Here I am, Rochester.
Jimmy Durante.
Good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
George Burns.
Oh, yeah.
Danny Thomas. Abbott and Costello.
Well, who's on first?
Game shows galore. And lots more.
A little sneak snack?
The golden years of television. Every week on NCTV.
It's 21 minutes past the hour. Scott Hansen is a Twin Cities comedian, talent agent, and club manager. In addition to booking comedians in his last 2 nightclubs, Scott has also 7 other outlets in a network that goes from LA to New York. He currently hosts a radio show early weekday mornings in Minneapolis while maintaining a schedule that takes him to many of the major comedy clubs in the country. Among them, the Comedy Store and the Improv in LA. He's performed with the likes of Jay Leno and Rodney Dangerfield. It's good to have you with us, Scott.
Oh, I'm so busy, I don't know how I could be here. Geez, I didn't even know he was doing all that stuff. That's great.
So what do you prefer, being a comedian, being a radio host, being a talent agent?
Well, it's fun doing all of it. It's more fun just telling jokes. Just get out on the stage and make people laugh. That's the only reason I did most of the stuff is just to create work for myself, and in the meantime I created work for a lot of other comedians, so it's worked out pretty good.
Is there a focus particularly that you concentrate on? Do you have to?
You try not to. Stand-up is the most important part of it, just writing, and but there's so many different things now, and so many different venues that you can do with comedy right now, that it's hard to limit yourself because everything seems to be like, geez, I want a piece of that, I want to do a little of that too. So
what got you into comedy? Have you always wanted to be a comedian? Were you a class clown in high school?
Not as much a class clown. Most comedians are not class clowns, I've found. They're more or less a guy who's doesn't fit into every little group. He's just sitting there, watches everybody, and pretty soon he's got 10 minutes he's trying out. And but pretty much I was a theater major at the University of Minnesota, and I started doing improvisational shows at Dudley Riggs, and stand-up started to break nationally. It started to become real popular right about the time that Robin Williams hit with Mork and Mindy. It's just all of a sudden it came that, hey, we can go to these little comedy clubs and this guy can be a star tomorrow.
Are we seeing an increase of comedians?
Oh, there's like over 200 clubs nationally right now.
Why is it mushrooming?
It's a good entertainment alternative. It's not a movie. You can go take a date to see a comedy show, and you can talk to them at the end of it about it. You can enjoy yourself, and you don't have to worry about either going to a singles bar and take someone dancing. It's a great entertainment alternative.
Is maybe this is too extreme, but is it the fact that there seems to be so much tension internationally with news? Does the world want to laugh more?
Oh, I don't know. It varies. During the Carter administration, everybody had a lot of fun, and there's a lot of fun during Reagan. Political humor isn't really that big right now. We've got enough of it going on just in the newspapers. We don't really need to do it on stage. So.
What humor is big right now? What's popular?
Oh boy, there's a lot of generic things, like all these comedians will do things on 7-Elevens, Kmart's, this kind of stuff, but everything, you name it, there's no taboos in the comedy clubs. You come out there, you'll see someone like a Sam Kinison who's completely off the wall and X-rated, versus someone, then you can have Jerry Seinfeld there who talks about everything of everyday lives. That's the variety of it. You can go and see a different show all the time. It's different attitudes. The comedy comes from within the person, so it's always a different attitude, a different outlook, even to the same things. Like some guy might have, everybody might have a 7-Eleven joke, but every one of them you might laugh at right after one after the other because they'll all be different, their own perspectives.
Do you ever wake up in the morning and are afraid you're not going to be funny?
No, you do that when you go to the show. Everybody feels that until you get to your first laugh during a show, and you feel more comfortable.
The icebreaker.
Oh yeah, when you go out there, you tell one joke, and you just let loose and have fun.
Now you've done some things with Jay Leno, with Rodney Dangerfield. What are those experiences like?
Well, Jay Leno, I work with quite a bit. I've worked with him quite a bit. I've done some writing for him and things. And what's nice about it is when you write for someone like that, and all of a sudden they do the routine on the Letterman or the Tonight Show, and it gets a big laugh. And all of a sudden, I did that. Yeah, it feels real good.
Now tonight you'll be at the Westward Ho. What do we expect to see?
We're going to have naked bodies everywhere tonight. It's slam dancing going to be going on, and we're just going to tell jokes. We might show my new video. It's a rock video. It's called Portly Crew. We're working on, so it's a joke. Loosen up a little bit, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I feel much better. Doesn't
this guy listen to music? What's the deal there?
What a crowd! What a crowd! Scott Hansen, good to have you with us. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us. Come to the show.
I will. I just may do that. Scott will be performing tonight at 9 o'clock in the Gaslight Lounge at the Westward Ho. After this, the extended forecast with Pam Coonan. Stay tuned.
Would you give a cigarette to your unborn child? You do. Every time you smoke while you're pregnant. Pregnant mothers, please, don't smoke.
All this week on Audiophilia, it's Steve Earle. The Smithereens. Until Tuesday. Plus the long-awaited drawing for the Chevrolet Turbo Sprint. Audiophilia, all this week on NCTV.
It's 26 minutes past the hour. Just a reminder, the Fighting Sioux hockey team will host Minnesota Duluth this weekend in WHA play. Both games will face off at 7:35. By the way, tickets for the February 28th and March 1st playoff games will go on sale this weekend. And as promised, here's Pam Coonan with a peek at that forecast. Tell us about it, Pam.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Thus far today, our high has been 36 degrees, and tomorrow promises to be just as nice, if not warmer. Now, looking at this afternoon's satellite picture, high cirrus clouds are evident. They're associated with the surface warm front. Behind that front, the sky is clear and the temperatures are quite mild, as warm as 50 degrees over the western Dakotas. The sky has been clearing this afternoon. A few wispy clouds have been over the region. This evening, the sky should be mostly clear, and we can expect a low of 23 degrees. And we'll probably have northwesterly winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, we'll have a high of 43 degrees. The sky will be mostly clear. We'll probably have a few high cirrus clouds during the afternoon, with a possibility of some lower clouds moving in late in the afternoon. The weekend also promises to be very nice. And that's the weather. Back to you, Tom.
Rumor has it we're going to hit the 50s this weekend.
Possibility.
Time to get that tennis racket out, wax that car.
Well, yeah, sure.
If
Why
you had
not?
a racket in a car, probably, right? This weekend entails a variety of events at the Chester Fritz. Just as a reminder, Saturday evening, Marcel Marceau will be performing at 8:15. We've been told that there's plenty of tickets left, particularly on the main floor in the back and also in the medium section of the Chester Fritz. Plenty of tickets are left, but the better seats are scarce. And Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin brothers will be in concert Sunday evening also at 8:15. Believe this or not, 8 whole seats remain for that concert, so you better get on over there. Both men's and women's Sioux basketball team are on the road, playing Morningside Friday and the University of South Dakota on Saturday. We want to thank our guests, Billy Hayes and Scott Hansen, for being here with us. Also, thanks to NCTV and the University Program Council here on campus. From all of us here at Studio One, it's been good to be together. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.